Dr. Shabir, welcome to Let the Quran Speak.
Pleasure to be on.
Dr. Shabir, how do we defend the Prophet Muhammad and his honor?
Well, there are several ways. One is by our own actions. Muslims need to demonstrate in their own lives what it means to be the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, today in our context. If our Prophet, peace be upon him, was alive today, how might he act? And we know from his life stories that he was a very kind, gentle person. It is related that he took care of people around him, even to the extent of caring for the animals, which was unusual in his time and place. And if Muslims perform these acts of kindness to people, to animals, they care for the environment, then this would be a demonstration of what it means to be not only a Muslim, but a follower of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. People will get an impression from that the Prophet Muhammad must have been something like the Muslim man or woman that they're seeing now.
Mm-hmm. So we should live like the Prophet Muhammad did, with his values.
Absolutely, yes. And we teach those values to our children. We celebrate these values in our society. And this is, I think, the best way of honoring and defending our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The other way, of course, is by word. One is by deed, the other is by word. By word, we can write about our Prophet, peace be upon him, inform the world about him. We can produce audiovisual materials. There are a lot of people out there who want to know something about Islam. They want to know something about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and they have little resources out there. They may go to the local bookshop and they might find lots of books on another religion, but very little on the religion of Islam. And sometimes, you go into a bookstore and you find that the couple of books that are there on the religion of Islam are about a particular aspect of Muslim society, Sufism, for example. Mm-hmm. And you find very little that goes into in-depth studies of the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Though the books are available, but they're not widely sold, as you might expect. Mm-hmm. So Muslim societies, Muslim communities can produce such materials, have them available for free, and these can be given out to the public.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Shabir, we've seen those cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad in France and the sort of reaction that they've garnered. What would you say to someone about the Prophet Muhammad? If you had to share a message about the Prophet Muhammad to the world, what would you say?
I would say that he was a man who stood for justice. And in his time and place, he did everything he could that is reasonable to establish justice in society. And Muslims today who want to follow the Prophet, peace be upon him, and want to defend him and honor him, we all want to. Mm-hmm. The best we can do is to strive for justice in our societies. Often Muslims are speaking about injustice when we are the victims of injustice. But we should be out there defending the oppressed, the weak, those who are downtrodden, because that is what the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was known for. And when it comes to cartoons about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, or things blasphemously said about him, we should defend not only our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, but other prophets as well. We defend Jesus, we defend Moses, peace be upon them, Abraham, and Muslims, by following our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, are following all of these prophets in principle. So we need to demonstrate this to the wider world, and not just simply speak in our own defense, but speak positively to look out for justice for all people in all places.
Do you feel sad, Dr. Shabir, when you see depictions of the Prophet Muhammad that are less than positive?
Well, first let me say something about my background. I was born in Guyana. I lived among non-Muslims, and then I moved to Canada. Again, same experience. I'm living among a largely non-Muslim populace. So I've become accustomed to seeing in the newspapers and elsewhere jokes about God, about the Prophet Jesus, about the Bible, about heaven and hell, and so on. So these are sacred things that are being joked about in in the societies in which I have lived. So I've become sort of accustomed to that. At the same time, being a Muslim, Islam is dear to me. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is dear to me. God is dear to me. And as a Muslim, I don't joke about these things and these personages. I know what is sacred, and I don't joke about those things. And I don't find it comfortable if somebody is going to joke about God or the Quran or the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But of course, the Quran tells us what to do in such a circumstance. If you're in a circumstance where people are saying blasphemous things, the Quran says leave that circumstance unless they change their tone. So that is the principle by which I live. At the same time, I can understand why Muslims might be riled up if they find that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is being ridiculed. But my advice to Muslims is that you have to develop a thick skin for these things, because it's going to happen. It's not going to change. And the more you protest, the more people will do things just to show that they have this right to do that. And why shouldn't people have the right to? You have the right to believe and do what comes out of your belief. They have a right to disbelief and to do what comes out of that disbelief. So you believe, they disbelieve, and the world moves on. Do what is positive to represent the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in the right way. And that may cause some of those who disbelieve to rethink. But protesting against their right to express themselves is not going to get very far, because this is a right that in modern liberal democracies, people have fought long and hard to achieve. The right to criticize government, to criticize the church, to criticize any authority, whether sacred or profane. They are not going to give up that right easily. So we just have to get accustomed to that and do what is positive, what is within our ambit.
And of course, cartoonists love it when they get that reaction from viewers, right? When viewers get all riled up by what they see.
Because then they'll draw another cartoon depicting this violent reaction.
So don't give them the pleasure of that reaction.
Exactly.
Thank you for your time,
You're
Dr.
welcome.
Shabir.